Good afternoon. What is going on? This is James Hodges with REI Game Changers. Today, we've got a special live training for you guys. And I just want to make sure we are live on Facebook. We should be live on YouTube as well. So let me know if you are watching this live. Comment live in the chat down below. And if you are watching the replay, comment replay in the chat below. So if you're live on this live right now, comment live so that I can see who you are. And also, if you are on here live, make sure to comment where are you tuning in from. So if you're watching this live, comment down below where are you tuning in from. I would love to see where you're tuning in from around the country. What market are you in? So comment down below what market you're in. Also, if you're watching this live, comment live down below. If you're watching the replay, comment replay. So today we've got a special training. I have never done this training before live. So today we are going to be covering my acquisition process that we use inside of my real estate company to close 40% of the offers that we make to homeowners. Now, previously, I had an acquisition process. We were doing in-person appointments, and we were closing about 30% of the offers that we would make to homeowners when we were doing in-person appointments. Now, we made the transition to doing virtual appointments. And once we made the transition to doing virtual appointments, our closing rate dropped to around 20%. Now, at the beginning of last year, at the beginning of 2022, there were some signs that indicated that the market was likely going to shift. Now, when the Fed announced that interest rates were going to be increasing, I got pretty concerned. I was concerned. I was concerned that the market was going to shift, and I began looking into other exit strategy options to add in to our acquisition process. So we began changing a ton of things in our acquisition process. And mainly it was due to expecting that the market would change at the middle to end of 2022 last year. So due to this, we started looking into other exit strategy options. And I learned all about creative financing. I learned all kinds of creative financing strategies. And there's a lot of incredible creative finance strategies out there that you can get deals on. My preference, my company, we typically are wholesaling most of our deals. Like we are a marketing and sales organization. We are really strong on the wholesaling side. Anybody watching, are you in the same boat? Are you stronger on the wholesaling side? Are you stronger on the marketing and sales side? Because doing a wholesale deal is a completely different ball game than doing a sub-2 transaction where you're structuring a sub-2 transaction, you're holding on to the property, you're dealing with property management. That's great. I'm more interested in building an incredibly high cash flowing business. And then, we can deploy that excess revenue into other investment vehicles. But our strong suit is wholesaling. So I was looking for a strategy to add on that was similar to wholesaling, but would allow us to capitalize on leads that wanted more money for their house than what we could offer for a wholesale deal. Can anybody relate? Would anybody like to learn a strategy that would allow you to offer more money to somebody for their house than what you could offer as a wholesale transaction? Well, that's what we sought out. And eventually we landed on the strategy of novations. Now, this just novations is not what is allowing us to close 40%. It is our acquisition process. We have a 7-step acquisition framework that we also developed towards the end of last year and the beginning of this year. We have completely restructured our acquisition framework, and combining our new acquisition framework in combination with also utilizing novations is what has allowed us to increase our closing rate from 20% on our virtual appointments to 40%. So how many of you guys right now, how many of your businesses would change if you're closing 4 out of 10 offers that you made to homeowners? Comment in the chat. How many of your businesses would change if you were closing 4 out of every 10 offers that you made to homeowners? I can tell you there are not a ton of people who are doing virtual wholesaling who are closing 4 out of 10 offers. Now, the next question would be, what is the contract to close rate? Because there's a lot of people who can get properties under contract, but how many of those are actually closing? In my company, we maintain an 80% contract to close rate. That means 80% of the deals that we get under contract actually make it to the closing table. So it's not like a lot of these virtual wholesaling companies where 50% of their deals make it to the closing table. We are closing 80% of the deals that we get under contract. So how many of you guys are ready to dive into the 7-step acquisition framework? So this is the framework that is allowing us to close 40% of the offers that we make. You guys alive? You guys awake? You guys ready to see the process that's allowing us to close 40% of the offers that we make? Just making sure that you guys are alive over there. All right. Step number 1, it's 7 steps, 7-step framework that allows us to close at 40%. Step number 1, we do an introduction. So we introduce ourselves, we introduce our company name, and we are building rapport in the beginning, quick introductions. Step number 2, we set the expectation for the call. We are setting the expectation. Number 1, we use an underwriter model. Now, the underwriter model allows us to defer the decision of the offer that we are making to an underwriting team. Now, we have an underwriting process inside of our company. We try to be as ethical and transparent and honest as possible in all of our transactions. So we actually have a manager who acts as an underwriter for our deals. So we do actually have an underwriter that sets the limit of do not go above this price on a property. Now, if you are a solo operator, find somebody who can act as your underwriter. Even if you are saying, hey, here's the formula that we're using, have somebody act as the underwriter on your behalf. The reason why is I want you to think about if you have ever bought a car from a car dealership. If you've ever bought a car from a car dealership, is it the salesperson that you were negotiating with? More than likely not. Most of the time when you buy a car, the salesperson, they're not the ones who are making the decision. Anytime that you come to purchase a car, the salesperson is the one who's working with you. But then when it comes time to talking numbers, they always have to go back to the finance team. Let me go check with the finance manager. Let me go check with the finance team to see what I can do. I'm like, the salesman is on your side of the table. They're working to try and get you what you want. It's the finance team that they are going and negotiating with. You're actually negotiating with a finance team when you are purchasing a car. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I can't help but to think there's got to be a reason why this multi-billion or trillion-dollar industry is all doing the same thing. They're all following the same process. I've never purchased a car that did not follow that process. Why? Because it works. Because if somebody feels like they're negotiating with you directly, then you're not going to have as much negotiation power. But if they are negotiating with an unseen third party, then there is more negotiation power because they can't see the finance team back there. So there's an unseen third party that they're actually negotiating with. So we started implementing an underwriter model, an underwriter approach that basically allows for the acquisition rep to not negotiate directly with the homeowner. So it is a rule within our company. The acquisition rep does not negotiate live with a seller. The acquisition rep has to go to the underwriter in order to get the offer from the underwriter that we're going to make. So it's the underwriter that the seller is negotiating with. And this dynamic is this expectation is set from the very beginning portion of the phone call. So we set the expectation, hey, we work with an underwriting team. They ultimately are going to approve the offer that we are going to make for the house. And so by the end of this call, we will be either making you an offer or we will give you a denial on the property. We'll let you know either way by the end of this call. And so we're setting the expectations up front. Now, first person that I saw in the real estate realm to do the underwriter model was Eric Klein. Shout out to Eric. Love some of his frameworks. That was one thing that we did adopt from Eric Klein. There was a lot of other changes that we made throughout this process. I've worked with a bunch of sales trainers, even outside of the real estate space, to piece together what is now our 7-step acquisition system. So once we set the expectations for the call, and that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see people making on acquisition calls, they don't set the frame. They don't set the expectation of here's what's going to happen on this call. They just go right into it. And so we set the expectations. Now, step number 3 is discovery or uncovering motivation. So once we set the expectations, now we go into a discovery portion. So in the discovery portion, our goal is to uncover motivation. And ultimately, the goal is to eliminate deal killers. So there are 4 main deal killers that have the potential to kill any deal. 4 main deal killers that have the potential to kill any deal. Number 1 is risk or discomfort. So what does risk or discomfort look like? I need to think about it. Give me a couple of days. Give me a week or so. Need to think about it. It's people avoiding making a decision. They will avoid making a decision because it's uncomfortable to make decisions. And to be honest, guys, a lot of our sellers who are in positions where they're willing to sell their house at a deep discount are not typically the most decisive people on the planet. That's why they're typically in the positions that they are in. It's because they're not typically the most decisive people. So we have to realize that risk or discomfort is something that they will likely, it will be an escape door that they run through at the end of the call if we don't handle it earlier on in the call. So our goal during the discovery portion is to actually handle the objections before we get to the offer. So that way, when we make the offer, they can't run through that door as an escape route because we've already locked the door. That's how we view the discovery portion, is basically we're locking the doors on the objection doors that they could run through. So number 1 is risk discomfort. That's number 1 deal killer that we want to handle in the discovery portion. Number 2 is support relationships. What does this look like? I need to talk to my spouse. I need to talk to my brother. I need to talk to my sister. I need to talk to my cousin, whatever. There's somebody that they need to talk to in order to make the decision. Well, we need to have that conversation, ideally before the appointment is even set with you, if you have a lead manager on your team. But if it gets to the acquisition rep or yourself, then we need to handle that earlier on in the call. Who's involved in making the decision in this? Who's going to be a decision maker in this process? Is there somebody that can basically kill the deal that they need to confide with in order to make a decision about selling this property? So you want to uncover that early on in the acquisition process. Number 3 is time frame. When do they actually want to sell? Because if they don't actually want to sell right now, then we don't need to be making an offer to them right now. If they're wanting to sell 6 months from now or a year from now, and no matter how good of an offer we make them, it's not going to matter. They're not ready to sell, or they're not ready to make a decision on whether they want to sell. So that's something we need to address. Also, competition. This is one of the most common things that takes deals away from wholesalers is, hey, I got another offer. Hey, I'm going to list this with a real estate agent. Hey, my next door neighbor made me an offer on this property. We want to be able to uncover the competitors and uncover what the seller's stance is with all of the competition before we actually make an offer. because the last thing that we want is to make the offer and then they go and shop that offer to the competition. That's the last thing that we want. If we have put ourselves in that situation, then we've lost all leverage, all control in the situation. And our goal is to maintain control of the entire process. So those are the 4 main deal killers that we want to be able to handle in the discovery portion of the call. So that is the third step, is the discovery, which is where we uncover the motivation. Now, in the discovery portion, part of how we are uncovering motivation is through 3 types of questions that we ask. It's past questions, past questions, present questions, and future questions. Now, we have a list of past questions, we have a list of future questions, and then we have a list of present questions. And our goal is to ask at least 4 questions in each one of those categories. So we have past questions. How long have you owned the house? What have you done since you bought the house? What was the neighborhood like whenever you first moved in? Is there any updates that you did along the way to the property? Those are examples of past questions that we want to ask. We want to ask at least 4 past questions so that we are digging deep and we're finding out more about their situation. Then we transition into present questions. Again, we want to ask at least 4 present questions. So this is present situation, current condition of the property. What's got them interested in selling right now? What other options have they looked at in selling this property? Why haven't they moved forward with any of the other options? We want to go at least 4 layers deep into the present questions in that section. And then we want to transition into the future questions. So future questions, we want to go 4 questions deep on future questions. So what happens next? What happens if you don't sell this property? How quickly are you wanting to sell? Once you do sell, do you have another option lined up? What's your plan once you move out of this property? What do you plan on doing with the money? Those are all examples of future questions. We have a list of about 10 past questions, 10 to 15 past questions, 10 to 15 present questions, and 10 to 15 future questions that we can pull from depending on the situation. And we want to make sure that we're asking at least 4 in order to have an acquisitions call, an offer call where we have the highest chance of closing the deal. So that is step number 3, which is discovery or uncovering motivation. This is one of the most important parts of the call. Then we transition to talking about the property. So we have not even really discussed the property in detail yet up until now. So now we transition to talking about the property. We always start on the outside of the property just because we want to sound a little bit different. We start on the outside of the property, have them describe the outside. We have them describe the neighborhood. We have them describe the street that they're on. And then we go to the inside of the property. And the way that we do this, because we do all virtual appointments, so we actually don't see the property before we sign a contract with the homeowner. We're doing this completely virtual. So once we transition to speaking about the inside of the property, we have them start at the front door and walk us through as if they're giving us a tour. And we're talking about the condition. We're talking about what needs to be updated. If we wrote them a check for $30,000, what would they do to the property? We're talking about a bunch of different details, but we want them to give us a tour so that we have a really good understanding of what condition the property is in. Then once we discuss the property details, now we go to step number 5. Step number 5 is our pre-pitch. So in the pre-pitch section, we are recapping everything that we have discussed so far. We're recapping and we are basically relaying the information. We're regurgitating the information back. Now, when we do this, we want to make sure that we are bringing back the motivation that they have told us. Anything that is going to draw out more motivation, we want to bring that back up, because right after this, we are going to transition into getting their number. And so we want them in an emotional state before we ask for their number, because we want our offer to be the offer that we end up giving them. It's all about getting that outcome. So we need to make sure that we understand the exact outcome that they are trying to get in selling the property, because that's the offer that we're going to make. We're not just throwing around offers. We are presenting our offer as a solution to get the seller the outcome that they are looking for. So when we are pre-pitching, we are regurgitating everything that they have told us throughout the conversation. And then we get their number. So we're asking them, so in order to accomplish all of the, we're recounting everything that they have told us. So in order to accomplish X, Y, Z and get you into this property and this timeline, how much are you looking to get for your property in order to accomplish this? How much would you need in order to realistically accomplish this outcome that you're after? Now, we are specific whenever we are asking for their number. We will specifically state exactly what they have told us throughout the conversation so that we are bringing up those pain points again. And then they present their number. Now, if they don't present the number right off the bat, we will ask in 2 to 3 different manners to try and get the number withdrawn from them. We want to get a number from them. Ideally, if at all possible, we want to get a number. If they don't give us a number, if they're extremely resistant to giving us a number, then we will, when we go and make our offer, we are going to present an extremely low number, because we want to make sure that if we're anchoring them, so the first number that is stated is typically the anchor number. So we want to make sure that if we are anchoring them, we are anchoring them at a really low number. But we always try to get their number first. Then we go into step number 7. And this is one of the most important steps. It's the way that we present our offer. Now, I mentioned earlier on in this training that we bolted on novations. So we go to make an offer. When we go to make an offer, we have at least 2 offer numbers that we can give them. Now, we have a max allowable wholesale offer number. We also have a max allowable novation offer number. And we have a calculator, and I will show you guys this calculator right here. I'll pull this up right here. So we have an offer calculator that we utilize on every single one of our transactions. So can you guys see my screen here? You should see a spreadsheet that's got an offer calculator on there. So we have an offer calculator that we utilize on every single transaction. Anytime that we're making an offer, we use this calculator every single time. So we've got repair costs over here. We've got an ARV. We've got our desired novation profit, desired wholesale profit. And then over here, we can see our max allowable novation offer price. And then we have our max allowable wholesale offer price. So we've got formulas in here. So all we have to do is we enter in the ARV, we enter in the total repairs needed, the repair costs, then we enter in our desired novation profit, desired wholesale profit. Typically, we're looking for $20,000 on a wholesale deal and bare minimum $25,000, but a lot of times we will do $30,000 on our novation deals. So in this case, and I just threw random numbers in here, this property would have an ARV of $350,000. If we were looking to make $30,000 on a novation, we could offer $258,420. If we were looking to make $20,000 on a wholesale price, we would be at a max allowable offer of $240,000. So with a novation, we could offer essentially $20,000 more for a novation offer. And so before we even go into presenting our offer, we already know these numbers. Now, we know that we've got 2 different numbers that we can present. So we don't lead with our best foot forward. We always anchor them at a really low price. Our goal is not to get our first offer accepted. So typically we will come in at around 75% to 80% of our max allowable wholesale offer. So 240,000, if we are at 80% of 240,000, that is $192,000. So somewhere around $192,000 is going to be our initial offer price. So that's what we're going to start with. Now, when we are going into making our offers, we are, before we go into making the offer, we are going to put the prospect on hold. So we do a couple of holds throughout our offer presentation. So when we are transitioning to make the offer, we basically tell the prospect, hey, I've got all the information that I need. We've submitted it over to the underwriting team. I'm going to put you on a brief hold, and I'm going to go talk to the underwriting team and see what we can offer for your property. And we put them on hold. We put them on an intentional 3-minute hold. So 3 minutes, we are putting them on hold. And, we come back after the first hold, we ask for more information. We intentionally leave out information that we forgot to get. So we intentionally leave out information. We come back, Mr. Seller, I apologize. I completely forgot to ask you a couple of questions. I need a couple of more questions answered before I can get you that offer. And then we ask them a couple of more details about the property. Now, once we ask them a couple more details, thank you so much. I'm going to get this over to the underwriting team again. It'll be just another brief hold. Let me put you on hold again, and I'll get that offer right when I come back. So now we're putting them on a second 3-minute hold. So at this point in time, when we come back, they have been on hold for 6 minutes total. 6 minutes total. Now, up until this point, they've also been on a typically 30 to 40-minute conversation with us. So our goal is to get them to spend time with us. The more time that they spend with us, typically the more likely they are to sign a contract with us. So the goal is to get them to spend more time. We want them on hold. We want them on hold multiple times. And every time they go on hold and they stay on hold, they're more likely to sign. Because if somebody stays on hold for 3 minutes and then 3 minutes again, they're likely pretty interested in selling their property. Otherwise, they wouldn't be holding. They wouldn't be going through this entire process if they weren't somewhat interested. So now when we come back from the second hold, now is when we are actually presenting an offer. And so we bring the offer, hey, I just got confirmation from the underwriting team. We were able to get your property approved for $179,000, or in this instance, it was $192,430. And a very specific number. Present the offer, and then we shut up. Present the offer, shut up. And the reason why is because we want to give them space to think. Because if you start, present the offer and then you start talking, you're not giving them space to think. We present the offer, then we're silent and we let them think. And more than likely, if you make your first offer correctly, you should not get the offer accepted. It should be, hey, I'm going to think about that. Or, hey, that's not going to work for me. I told you I needed 250,000. And that's what we're looking for. I completely understand. This is what they have authorized me to offer on the property. Now, let me ask you, if we were able to, meet in the middle a little bit, are you willing to work with us? Let me ask you, what would you accept on the property? What number would you accept on this property? So that I can go back. My goal, I want to get you as much as I can. I'm going to go back and see, what I can squeeze out of this underwriter. But tell me, what would you accept for this property, so that I can go back and give them that information. Now we're going to handle this, but we're not negotiating live. Anytime that we're negotiating, we are going back to the underwriter And then all the negotiation is putting them on hold. Great. Let me go back to the underwriter. Let's see what I can do. Just like, and I give you the image of a car dealership because a lot of you guys have purchased a car so that you have that image in mind. Have the image of the car salesman going back and forth to the finance department. This is exactly what the acquisition rep or yourself, if you're doing acquisitions, this is what you're doing with the homeowner. So then we come back and we make another offer. This offer is a little bit higher. Now we will do this 2 to 3 times for a wholesale offer. We're inching our way up towards close to our max allowable wholesale offer price. And the goal is to inch our way up. And each time that we're inching our way up, we're going back to the underwriter, getting an approval. Hey, this is I'm literally trying to squeeze them for everything I can. And we're doing little, we're inching our way up bit by bit. Now, we're going to come to a place where we're at our max allowable wholesale offer. And once we get to our max allowable wholesale offer, this is where we transition to our novation offer. And our novation offer, we call our concierge service or concierge program. And our concierge program is a program that we have developed that allows us to typically pay a little bit more for properties. And the way that we'll transition is, Mr. Seller, it sounds like you like everything about the offer that I presented to you except for the price. Is that right? And 99% of the time, they're going to say yes. Great. Well, if there was a way where I could get you a little bit more money for the property, but all I would need is just 2 things. Would you be willing to have a conversation about that? Most of the time, they're going to say yes. So really just the 2 things that we would need in this type of situation is just going to be a little bit more access to the property and a little bit more time. Most of the time, they're going to ask, how much more time are you talking? Typically, with this transaction, instead of a 30-day close, it's going to be typically a 60 to 90-day close. Would you be open to hearing what we can offer if that is the case? And then we will transition into describing the novation process and then presenting our novation offer. Now, in this situation, we know that we could offer, $20,000 more for a novation offer than we could for a wholesale offer. Now, in a lot of instances, $20,000 is a big difference maker, especially if you have taken them through this process, because piece by piece, typically what will happen is the longer that we stay on the phone with them, they're going to inch their number down. So by this time, after we presented 2 or 3 wholesale offers, each time they should be coming down more and more, closer to our offer price. Now it makes it a lot easier to transition into making that novation offer. And most of the time, they are going to bite if we have followed this full process, because by that time, we should be pretty close on numbers if they've hung in the process this long. And this is why we have a 40% offer to contract ratio, is because when we follow this process, it's methodical, and we're using 2 different offer structures. We have our wholesale offer. We presented 2 or 3 wholesale offers to the homeowner, and then we come in with the novation offer, and that makes the novation offer that much more attractive. Now, for novations, it is a different ballgame. We are having to do, we are having to list the properties on the MLS. We're trying to find a retail buyer. If the seller's in a position where they need to sell quickly, then we may revert back to the wholesale. So it's just a matter, if they have to sell within 30 days, novation is not going to be the offer for them. So we've got to get them to bite on the wholesale price if that is the case. And that is the process that we are following. It's our 7-step offer process. At the end, we make 3 wholesale offers, 2 to 3 wholesale offers, and then we transition into a novation offer. And I've showed you guys the calculator. Typically on a novation offer, we're between $20,000 and $40,000 more for a novation offer. And that is a big contributing factor to how we were able to get so many more deals signed. When we were just doing wholesaling, we were about 20% offer to contract ratio. Now we're about 40% offer to contract ratio. And that's, with my acquisition team that's active right now in the business. So I want to open it up to any questions that you guys have. Also, if you guys would like this offer calculator, just type calculator in the chat, and my team will send you guys this offer calculator. We'll make sure to get this out to you guys. If you want the offer calculator, just type in calculator down in the chat below. And if you guys are watching this and you're like, hey, I want to implement this full system, I want the entire script, I want, I want help building my business. I saw somebody comment, they're wanting to join the 100K month club. This 100K month award is something that we give our clients when they hit $100,000 per month inside of our program. And so we're presenting new awards every single quarter. And we've had, I think, 3 new people just this month hit their first 100K month. So it's awesome. If you're in a position where you're wanting help scaling your business, implementing a full-blown acquisition system, implementing novations, but also putting a marketing system in place, building out a team, that is absolutely what we help people with. So if you're in that position, comment game changers in the chat below, and one of my team members will reach out to you just to have a discussion about what it looks like scaling your business. So if you'd like our help scaling your business, comment game changers in the chat down below, and one of my team members will reach out to you. We help people scale to, basically put the marketing systems, the acquisition systems, and the team members in place to be able to scale to $100,000 per month and beyond. So I want to open it up. Does anybody have any questions about anything that we have discussed today? If you have any questions, post those in the chat down below. Happy to answer any questions while we're on here live for you guys. Give you guys a second to post any questions that you may have. And if there are no questions, then we will wrap up. So those of you who are commenting calculator, if you want the offer calculator, the deal offer calculator, we will get that over to you guys. I'll have my team reach out to you with the offer calculator. So somebody asked, Novation, is that an internal brokerage listing service? No, so that's not a brokerage service. Novation is basically, once we sign a seller contract, we are essentially wholesaling to a retail buyer. So we use either a flat fee listing agent or a listing agent in whatever market that we're operating in. We don't list properties for people. We just teach them the process of how to implement novations. We give everybody the paperwork of how to do that. But the novation is a type of deal where you get a property under contract just like you would on a wholesale deal, and you are listing the property on the MLS. We have documents that we sign with the seller that allows us to do that. And then we are finding a retail buyer to purchase the property from us. So that's why we're able to offer more. So this retail buyer is looking to, the retail buyer is looking to live in the property, so they don't need to make a profit on the deal. That's why they can pay more. That's what allows us to pay the seller more for the deals. So that's what a novation is. The term novation means to replace. So instead of a wholesale where we would be doing an assignment, we would be doing a novation instead of an assignment. Somebody asked, how do you explain to older people novations, and why wouldn't they use a realtor? We find out exactly why they wouldn't use a realtor in the discovery portion of our call. So they're telling us exactly why they don't want to use a realtor. And typically they're looking for convenience. We take in the novation process, we're taking care of everything. We're taking care of the whole process, and still making it a much more convenient option for the seller. And, our pitch to them is, look, we sometimes we'll bring in other buyers to partner with us on deals. This is called our concierge service. So part of how we do that, sometimes we will utilize the multiple listing service, but we also have an expansive network of real estate agents, investors, and sometimes we will even use the multiple listing service to find people that will partner on these deals with us. And we get very little pushback on our novation pitches. Very, very little pushback. Because, you know, if they've made it that far in the conversation, they've already told us exactly why they don't want to list it with a real estate agent, because that's one of the main questions, or one of the questions that we ask in discovery portion. We want to know with clarity why they haven't listed it so far, and get an exact reason in our discovery portion. So guys, thank you guys so much for showing up today. Again, if you'd like that offer calculator that shows you the exact price to offer, your max allowable offer for wholesales versus novations, comment calculator in the chat. If you would like to have a conversation about how we can help you implement all of these strategies, not just the sales strategy, but marketing strategies as well, team building strategies, then comment game changers in the chat below to have a discussion with our team about scaling your business. And we help people scale to $100,000 a month and beyond. If you would like to have a conversation about that, comment game changers in the chat below. Outside of that, you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. We do these live trainings every week, so stay tuned. Next week, next Tuesday at 4 p.m., we'll be on live with another training coming at you. So we'll see you guys next week. You guys have a good one. God bless. See you all later.